Hi friends, I am 𝗳𝗏𝗃𝗃, daughter of 𝗘𝗍-𝗺𝗃𝗃, currently pursuing final year of Bachelor of Science in BZC at Telangana Tribal Welfare Residential Degree College for Women's, Mulugu, Ettur Nagaram. Today we are going to discuss a topic on the subject chemistry. Chemistry is a big part in our life. One can find the branch of science in every field of human life. The air we breathe, the food we eat and the various cleaning agents we use comes under chemistry. Even human relations or sometimes it is said to be chemical reactions within our body. So now we are going to discuss about the most abundant topic of the biomolecules, that is carbohydrates. Those are present in food and also one can find broadly in healthy and unhealthy foods. The clothes we wore, the food we eat, and we build houses and make furniture with the help of that is carbohydrates. So today's topic is carbohydrates. It is a major source of energy. Let's see the contents what we are going to discuss in this session. The contents in these sessions are, we'll discuss about the introduction of carbohydrates and then we'll see where the carbohydrates comes from, the origin of it, and we'll talk about the definitions of carbohydrate. Next we'll see the various types of classification based on different points with their examples, and we'll discuss about the benefits and advantages of carbohydrates. Then we'll see few functions of some carbohydrates. At last, we'll discuss what we have discussed in this session as summary. Now we'll talk about introduction of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the most abundant biomolecule on the earth. They serve as major source of energy. Do you know who is the father of carbohydrate chemistry? The father of carbohydrate chemistry was 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. You can see the picture of 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 in the slide, and the term carbohydrate was first introduced by our famous Indian physician called 𝗬𝗎. You can also see the picture of 𝗬𝗎 in this slide. In fact, about 65% of our diet consists of carbohydrates. Now we'll see the origin of carbohydrates. It means where the carbohydrates comes from. The carbohydrates comes from the green plant, where the energy from the sun is used to convert the atmospheric carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates. The process is called photosynthesis. Now we'll see the equation of photosynthesis. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Here the chlorophyll acts as catalyst. It is a green colored pigment which present in all leaves of the plant. In the presence of those, atmospheric carbon dioxide and water, it is used to convert into glucose. The formula of glucose is C6H12O6 and the byproduct we get is O2. Oxygen is the byproduct in the process of photosynthesis. This process is called photosynthesis. We have completed where the carbohydrates comes from. Now we'll see some more of it. How many of you like to prefer to take junk foods? Even I am the first person who prefer junk foods mostly, like chocolates, sandwich, french fries, noodles and pizza. These are the examples which it consists of carbohydrates. Now let's see some more examples which the carbohydrate present in, that is in healthy carbohydrates. Healthy carbohydrates includes fruits, vegetables. Not only fruits and vegetables, carbohydrates are also contains in oil seeds, grain, pulses, nuts, etc. We'll see some of them. In fruits, carbohydrates are contained in like banana, apple, orange, cherries. Whereas in vegetables, we have potato, tomato, cabbage, cauliflower. These are some of the examples of vegetables and fruits which contains carbohydrates. Now we'll see the definitions of carbohydrates. In earlier days, many scientists observed and defined the carbohydrates as hydrates of carbon. The general formula of hydrates of carbon is CxH2O taken Y times. However, this definition was not found to be correct. We'll see why this definition was not found to be correct. We'll take an example comparing glucose and acetic acid. Glucose general formula is C6H12O6. It obeys the hydrates of carbon. If you write in the form of hydrates of carbon, this glucose general formula is C6H2O taken 6 times. It obeys the hydrates of carbon. It is said to be a carbohydrate. Well, coming to acetic acid, it is not an carbohydrate. It is an carboxylic acid. Even though it is a carboxylic acid, it obeys the hydrates of carbon. For this reason, this definition was not found to be correct. Later, modern scientists observe and define the carbohydrates are the optically active polyhydroxy aldehydes and ketones. Let's see what is that. Optically active means the carbohydrates which the compounds which rotates plain polarized light either towards right or left. Such components are said to be optically active. And now we'll discuss about what is meant by polyhydroxy. Polyhydroxy means the components it consists of many OH group on it, and the compound may consist of aldehyde group or it consists of ketonic group. Now we'll see an example for these carbohydrates. We'll take glucose and we'll take fructose. The general formula of glucose is C6H12O6. It consists of 5 OH groups which we see in it, and it also consists of aldehyde group at the C1 carbon, and it is also said to be optically active. Well, coming to fructose, it is an example of ketosis which it consists at the second carbon ketone group, and it consists of 5 hydroxyl group. These are the examples of carbohydrates. Now we'll see some more examples of carbohydrates where they are present. In cotton, linen, jute, wood, these consist of cellulose, and we'll see grapes. In that grape sugar, we'll see glucose. In honey, we'll see fructose. It is a carbohydrate. And in cane sugar, we'll see the carbohydrate, that is sucrose. And last, potato sugar. In potato, it consists of starch. These cellulose, glucose, fructose, sucrose and starch, these are the examples of carbohydrates. We have completed the definitions of carbohydrate. Now we'll see the various types of classification of carbohydrates based on different points. Based on this, there are different points which is classified. One is based on taste and physical state of the carbohydrate, and the next classification is based on reducing sugar, and third one is based on hydrolysis. Fourth classification of carbohydrate, that is based on functional group present in the compound, and the fifth one is based on number of carbon atoms present in the compound. We will see deeply of it. Coming to based on taste and physical state of carbohydrates, these are identified into two types. One is sugar and the next one is non-sugar. And based on reducing nature, they are also categorized into two types. One is reducing sugar and the one is non-reducing sugars. And the third classification is based on hydrolysis. This was divided into three types, namely monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. And the fourth classification of carbohydrate, which is based on functional group. Based on functional group, we have two types. One is aldosis and the next one is ketosis. Then we'll go for the detailed discussion of last based on number of carbon atoms. There are different classification based on number of carbon atoms, but we'll discuss 4 of it. The first classification based on taste and physical state of it. These are identified into two types. One is sugar and the next one is non-sugars. What is meant by sugars? Sugars are crystalline state, soluble in water, those are sweet in nature. Examples of sugars are, we have glucose as well as we have fructose. These are the examples of sugar. And now we'll talk about what are the non-sugars. Non-sugars are the amorphous state and those are soluble in alcohol and ether, whereas it insoluble in water. These are tasteless. Examples for non-sugars are cellulose and starch. Now the second classification based on reducing nature. Based on reducing nature, these are categorized into two types. One is reducing sugar and the next one is non-reducing sugar. We'll talk what is reducing sugars. These are the carbohydrates which consist of free aldehyde or ketonic group on it. It is capable on reducing Fehling's and Tollens test. Example for non-reducing sugars are maltose and lactose. We heard the word Fehling's reagent and Tollens reagent. We'll talk about what is Tollens test and Fehling's test. See in the next slide here, it is a Tollens test. We'll do for the monosaccharide, that is glucose. Glucose is a monosaccharide. On adding Tollens reagent, that is ammonical silver nitrate, it turns silver ions into silver. You can see the picture of Tollens test. Here the formation of silver mirror around the test tube of it. This is the Tollens test. And you heard the word Fehling's test. Fehling's test is, it is done for monosaccharides. We'll take glucose. If glucose is added for Fehling's A and Fehling's B, the Fehling's A reagent is copper sulfate and the Fehling's B reagent is potassium sodium tartarate. If these are added to glucose, the glucose is converted into red color precipitate. Here we see the red color precipitate in the picture. The copper ions are converted into cuprous oxide, and also the aldehyde, the aldose monosaccharides, those are converted into respective acids. Now we'll see the second one of based on reducing nature. Based on reducing nature, the next one is non-reducing sugars. These are the carbohydrates that does not reduce on Fehling's and Tollens. It means it gives negative result on Fehling's and Tollens test. Examples for non-reducing sugars are, we have starch. We have completed the second classification of point, and now we'll discuss about the third classification based on hydrolysis. Based on hydrolysis, carbohydrates are classified into three types. One is monosaccharide and the next one is oligosaccharide and the third one is polysaccharide. We'll discuss what is monosaccharide. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. Saccharide is a word which is derived from the Latin word, and it is also called saccharon, the word which is derived from the Greek word. Saccharide means sugar. It means single sugar. These are the simplest sugar. On hydrolysis, this does not yield monosaccharides. Example for monosaccharides are, we have galactose, fructose, ribose, deoxyribose, etc. Now coming for oligosaccharides. Oligo means short, or we can say as few. Few monosaccharides are derived. On hydrolysis, this yields 2 to 10 monosaccharide units. Example for oligosaccharides are sucrose, raffinose, and this oligosaccharide is further divided into many types, but we'll discuss about two of it. One is disaccharide and the next one is trisaccharide. Disaccharides or the carbohydrates on hydrolysis yields 2 units of monosaccharides. Example for disaccharides are sucrose, and we'll have trisaccharides. Trisaccharides or the carbohydrate on hydrolysis, these yield 3 units of monosaccharides. Examples of trisaccharides are, we have raffinose, and the next polysaccharide. Poly means many. These are the polymers of monosaccharides. many sugar molecules. These are the complex and found abundant in this nature. On hydrolysis, these yield more than 10 units of monosaccharides. Example for polysaccharides are we have starch, cellulose, etc. You can see the structural differentiation of monosaccharides, polysaccharides and disaccharides. Here, the D-glucose and D-fructose is the examples of monosaccharides. These does not yield simplest sugars. The glucose, it consists of aldehyde group at the C1 carbon and it consists of 5 polyhydroxyl groups. Then we'll see D-fructose. It consists of ketonic group at the second carbon and these also have 5 hydroxyl group in it. Then we'll talk about disaccharide and the structure. Examples of disaccharides are maltose, sucrose, lactose. On hydrolysis of sucrose, it yields glucose molecule and fructose molecule. And hydrolysis lactose, it gives glucose and galactose. We'll see the examples of trisaccharide. You can see the structure of trisaccharide, it is placed below. These are the trisaccharide. Examples of it is raffinose. On hydrolysis raffinose, it gives one molecule of glucose and galactose and fructose. We have completed the class and polysaccharide. Polysaccharide means these are the polymers of monosaccharide. Examples are starch, glucose, glycogen. You can see in this slide, starch molecules consist of many polymers of glucose. And then we have the next classification, that is based on functional group. Based on functional group, these are named into two types. One is aldoses and the next one is ketosis. Aldoses, these are the carbohydrate which consist of aldehyde group on it. Examples of aldoses are, here you can see the example of aldoses, that is glyceroldehyde. At the C1 it consists of aldehyde group, that is C double bond O H. And now we'll talk about what are the ketoses. Ketoses are the carbohydrate which have ketonic group on it. The best examples of ketosis are fructose and we have dihydroxyacetone. You can see the picture of dihydroxyacetone at the C2 carbon, it consists of ketonic group. And the last classification based on number of carbon atoms present in the compound. Based on this, there are many types, but we'll discuss 4 among it. One is triosis, tetrosis, pentosis as well as hexosis. What are triosis? Triosis are the carbohydrate. It consists of 3 carbon atom on it. The best examples of triosis is D-glyceroldehyde. Then we have tetrosis. The carbohydrate consists of 4 carbon atom. The examples for tetrose is D-threose. And we have pentose. The carbohydrate having 5 carbon atoms. Example for pentosis are D-ribose. And the last, the hexosis. Hexosis are the carbohydrate consist of 6 number of carbon atoms. Examples of hexosis are many. We'll discuss 2 of it. One is glucose and the other one is fructose. This consists of 6 number of carbon atoms in it. You can see the slide which is the based on number of carbon atom. We have completed the classification of carbohydrate based on different points. Now we'll talk about the benefits and advantages of the carbohydrates. There are many benefits and advantages of carbohydrates, but we'll discuss few of it. It helps in improves our digestive system and helps in brain functioning, and also these are the carbohydrates which it provides energy for all the plants as well as animals and helps in perform the physical activities and maintain body function. And consuming the carbohydrates them in moderate quantity can help to regulate appetite and prevents overeating. And also the carbohydrates are the essential ingredients for the athletics as they provide energy for the vigorous activities, and this also helps not only in energy, these also provides vitamins, minerals, fibers, etc. The carbohydrates are also help to sleep better, and these can prevent blood clotting. Now we have completed the benefits and advantages of carbohydrates. Now we'll see few functions of carbohydrate. There are many functions of carbohydrate, but we'll discuss few of them. Lactose, it is a milk sugar that helps to grow intestinal bacteria that facilitate the absorption of calcium in our body. And excess carbohydrates are converted into glycogen and fat that serves as source of energy. Glucose is the main source of energy where plants and animals get. Galactose is a carbohydrate that are converted into glucose and helps in our metabolism. Lactose is a milk sugar that helps in digested to glucose and galactose. It is an important ingredient in infant nutrition. And we'll discuss the summary of this session. We'll cover many of the points of carbohydrates. Let's see what we have covered. Carbohydrates are the main abundant source of energy which we'll get in this nature, and that represent a broad group of substances which includes sugars, starch, gum as well as cellulose. The common attributes of carbohydrates are it contains the only elements like carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The photosynthesis is a process where atmospheric carbon dioxide is reacts with water and converted into glucose. This helps to serve as major source of energy. Carbohydrates provides energy which is converted into glycogen in our body that stores in our liver. All carbohydrates contain alcoholic functional groups, either aldehyde or ketone. Aldehyde means that consists of C double bond OH on it. Ketone means the compound which consists of R C double bond O R functional group. And in both plants and animals, carbohydrate is the major source of energy. We have discussed the classification based on 5 points based on carbon atom, functional group, on hydrolysis, reducing nature. We have discussed the classification based on different points, and carbohydrates are not in only food. This also helps in we build houses and make furniture, and also it helps in clothing, like we wore cloth that is made up of cellulose. It is important to consume complex carbohydrates that gives energy, and also not only energy, it provides vitamins, minerals and fiber. Simple carbohydrates should be consumed moderately, like refined sugar and white bread. These should be consumed moderately. Now we have completed the summary of the session and what we have discussed in this session. Now check once again what we have discussed in this. First we have discussed about the introduction of carbohydrate, and then we'll talk about the origin of carbohydrate that comes from the green plants. Next we'll saw the equation of photosynthesis, how the carbohydrates are formed from the simple elements, and we discussed about the definitions of carbohydrates, that is, one is the older one, hydrates of carbon, and we have discussed the modern definition, that is, carbohydrates are the optically active polyhydroxy aldehydes and ketones, and we saw many examples of it, and also we learned the classification based on points based on taste, functional group, hydrolysis, etc. And we also learn what is the Tollens test and what is Valence test. In Tollens test, it gives silver mirror around the test tube, and in Valence test, These converted into red precipitate, and we also discussed about the hydrolysis and the structures of hydrolysis. These are the topics which we have discussed in this section, and I would like to thank my mentor for her support, T. Preeti, DL in Chemistry at Telangana Tribal Welfare Residential College for Women's, Mulugu, Eittur Nagaram. I would like to thank for her support and care towards me, and also my special thanks for the Secretary Sir for giving me this golden opportunity, and also a huge thanks for TSAT management for giving this time. Thank you.